Alright everyone, I am loving the Ralph Northam story because really, at this point, he's totally toast. Last night you had fast-hitting information. I kept loading up, like there's 3 links in the description here. First and foremost, Pelosi, Schumer, Tim Kaine, who's a senator from Virginia, high-ranking, of course, was Hillary Clinton's running mate, Clinton herself. Basically all of the other Democrats. I'm not sure that there's anyone left who supports Northam. Other than his close inner circle, like friends within politics, they'll say, okay, well, give the guy a break. Everyone else on the national level has told him to resign. That is not a survivable position, because if he doesn't resign, what I suspect will happen is that the Republicans will say, look, we control the House and Senate. The Democratic Party at the national level has already given us the go-ahead. We're gonna have to remove the dude from office. Then it comes down to, do they really want to do it? Wouldn't that trigger a snap election? If they have to, I mean, the lieutenant governor, if he resigns, takes over. But if he's forced out of office, if they force him out, basically at the legislative level under Virginia law, would there be an election, actually? That could lose the Virginia to the Democrats at the executive level. By the way, the Republicans already handily control the House and Senate there anyway. It's not like, even Northam, he's basically has been toothless this whole time anyway. His abortion proposal and all this other stuff, the Republicans aren't going to deal with it. I find this really funny. And then, last night, you had an additional round of photos came out from his yearbook. Like, apparently, that wasn't the only photo. There are at least 2 other photos of him in blackface. And then here's the funniest part. You've got the 3 stages of Ralph Northam here. First, he says, "Well, I'm deeply sorry for this offensive photo that I was in. I'm sorry to the people of Virginia. And you expect better, and I'm going to do better. Basically, I'm not going to resign, but I'm really sorry." And people don't like that. Then he comes out, hours later and says, "Oh, I may not have been the person in this photo, so yeah, keep that in mind." And people are like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Then he gives his conference, and the moonwalking part was just so cringe. Link in the description. I believe the 3rd link is to that. And he says, "Well, yeah, I did do the brown face thing at one point, but it was for a Michael Jackson dance contest." I'm thinking to myself, you how stoned were you? You don't remember the 80s. Michael Jackson, by the middle of the 80s, because of vitiligo, I believe that's how you pronounce it, vitiligo or something, because of the skin disease he had, used skin lighteners frequently. Because over time, originally he would use heavy makeup and it would be like brownish, because he's like, well, I've got a few patches of white on me, I gotta cover them up and then I gotta even it all out. But then as time moved on and he became more and more demelanized, he would lighten it more and more. And so sometime, by the time Bad comes out, he looks white. In shade, in pigmentation, he looks bone white. And then later on in life, it gets to freaky mode, and the plastic surgery, of course, made him look arguably more Caucasian in bone structure over time, and I think that there's another Jackson that he was trying to roughly look like, but that's just my opinion. No, Michael Jackson by that point did not look like a minstrel. What the fuck are you talking about? He straightened his hair and all that stuff. Come on. Get fucking real. Yes, it was him in the photo. He is the one in blackface. He's lying through his teeth, and that is what pisses me off. The fact that he was in blackface 30 years ago doesn't faze me. I'm like, okay. So he was drunk and in college and did something kind of cringy that doesn't hold up to modern moral standards. And people have pointed out, well, it wasn't common for people to do that in the 80s either. Well, yeah, definitely, especially while standing next to a dude in Klan robes. That's the real kicker. But to pretend that it's not him, and then to come out and say, oh, but as a roundabout, totally reaching around and jelking himself off, he says, yeah, I did appear in blackface. If you see any other photos where I am demonstrably the person in the photo, then please don't think too much of it. It's just I really like Michael Jackson. Then they ask him, oh, can you still moonwalk? You moonwalked, right? Can you still moonwalk? He looks around. He's being called on to resign by his whole party. He has disgraced his state. He's one step from being removed from office anyway, and the first thing he can think of is to moonwalk around. Then his wife, that looks like the frigid bitch from the Sex and the City, actually, the redhead from that show, it basically is inappropriate time. No, honey, please don't embarrass yourself anymore. I'm already getting phone calls from all the girls about my husband being a bigot. So can you hold off this once? Because, they're soci-elite friends, they're probably mostly Democrats. Most of them are probably Southern Dem style thinkers and don't care too much. But in public, they're going to pretend to. They'll throw him under the bus anyway. So the dude, I mean, his life couldn't get harder. Literally every major Democrat is calling for his removal. The Republicans are calling for his removal. The media is not defending him, although they're pussyfooting around, you know, in general, lambasting him the way they would if he was a Republican. If he was a Republican, they'd be declaring him, "Oh my God, this is Trump's America. This is modern day hate. We must deplatform him from existence." And they'd be saying he should never even be able to get a job as a toilet attendant. Instead, they're just saying, "Well, you know, you need to retire from your position because it just looks bad." Now, it does more than look bad. It fucking stinks. You gotta understand. The Democrats going into 2020 really, really need Virginia. They've got an edge in Virginia. They've had a growing little bit of a lead in Virginia because the D.C. suburbs fleshing out. You know, in some small towns, losing population. That could all be reversed in a single election because of this one person. And anyone who's not throwing him under the bus hazards their own career. Like Kamala Harris loved the dude a year ago, and now all of a sudden thinks that he's toxic. Hillary Clinton would have had probably partied with him. I know she's friends with Terry McAuliffe, and that's one step of removal, really. He was the former governor of Virginia. Now, poor Terry is like, oh shit, the dude that I endorsed and basically handpicked anyway, it turns he does this stupid shit. He must feel a little bit like a warped version of Teddy Roosevelt foisting Taft on the population or something like that. I find it funny, though. I hope the dude doesn't resign just so that we can see how stubborn the asses in the Democratic Party really can be. Stubborn and resistant to use of proper political strategy, not quite understanding reality the way that it really is. That's Ralph Northam. Oh, my comments about abortion now. Nobody will assume that I'm talking about infanticide, which I kind of am, in all honesty. My gun control proposal, it's not totally DOA because of a Republican-controlled Senate and House in the state of Virginia. It's not blatantly unconstitutional. It's not going to get all the gun groups in the small towns breathing down my neck, making sure I never run a fucking gun. No. Oh yeah, I don't have a 30-year-old photo of me in blackface, and I'm certainly not stupid enough to lie to people after I've already admitted that I'm in the photo. He admits he's in the photo. The reason why he turned around and said, well, it wasn't, to my recollection, this might not actually be me. It's like, where's the confusion? Do you dress up in a Klan robe or blackface often enough to be confused about which photo is you? So which person is it, by the way? We still are waiting confirmation. Are you the one in chocolate paint, or are you the one in the Klan robes? The latter would be, I think, to his constituents, far more concerning, although I think the former is far more likely based on the apparent height of these two individuals in the photo. I mean, come on. You can't come out and apologize and then backtrack and say it's not me. But as an aside, in other pictures it might be me, but it's Michael Jackson related. It's like, yeah, I'm a race bender or something like that. The poor cringy fool. He's toast. He can't govern at this point. What's his approval going to sink to? 1% probably, and that 1% will be him and his, you know, inbred extended family or something like that. The poor dude. I almost feel a little bit sorry for him, but I mean, like, you make your bed, you're going to have to lay in it at some point. The Democrats really have started the brigading, highly democratized outrage culture that causes people to care or pretend to care about a 30-year-old photograph. You know, probably if that had happened to someone back in the 90s, like running for office and they're hanging out with the Grand Wizard or something back in the 50s or whatever, probably nobody would have really cared. They would have maybe raised an eyebrow, but they wouldn't have been that outraged. They would have said, well, you know, he's reformed, he's changed his views. They would have given him the benefit of the doubt. Does that happen at any point on the internet? No, and it never will, which is exactly why some of these people with so many skeletons in their closet want to censor the internet, because they want to be able to crack down on conversation so they can keep their own shit from being exposed, all the weird shit they get up to at their eyes wide shut parties or whatever it happens to be. Now, Ralph Northam, he needs to resign. I mean, he's not hurting anybody but himself and the Democratic Party. They might have to bribe him. They might have to say, look, you fucking leave. We'll make sure you'll have another position. We'll quietly slip you in somewhere. At the very least, you'll have money. Don't worry. We're going to be 10 times. Or they'll give him the stick and say, look, we're never going to back you for anything, for dog catcher position again, if you do not resign. You might be able to get into politics again down the road. But you're looking for generational disgrace. Anyone with the name Northam, like your entire family, won't be able to hold office, or they're going to be teased at school. They won't even be able to get a job. So get the fuck out and stop, being a thorn in our party's side. It's gonna be funny. I expect he'll probably eventually resign here. It's just a matter of how long it takes. and keep up the outrage, or in some cases, the feigned outrage. That's about all. Peace out.